So it is my great pleasure then to introduce our speaker, Francisco Ferrándiz, on behalf of colleagues working in languages, cultures and societies in the School of Modern Languages. This is the third lecture that the School of Modern Languages has offered in association with Insights. And I'd like to thank in particular the wonderful team of lecturers in Spanish who have been working with students in preparation for this talk. And we're delighted to welcome students from two of our local high schools as well, from Gosforth Academy and from Whitley Bay High School. So now to introduce our speaker then, Francisco Ferrándiz, or Paco as we call him, is senior researcher at the Spanish National Research Council, the Consejo Superior de Investigaciones Científicas in Spain. He has a PhD in social and cultural anthropology from UC Berkeley, awarded in 1996. His research focuses on the anthropology of the body, violence and social memory. Since 2002, he has conducted research on the politics of memory in contemporary Spain. He is principal research investigator on the project The Politics of Memory Exhumations in Contemporary Spain, which is funded by the Spanish Ministry of Science and Innovation. And importantly, from 2020 to 2023, he was a senior advisor in the State Secretariat for Democratic Memory, which is integrated in the Ministry of the Presidency in Spain's central government. During these 4 years, he embarked on the very complex project of re-signifying the most iconic memorial, the Valley of the Fallen, erected by the dictator Francisco Franco near Madrid in 1959. The memorial has a consecrated church, and the dictator himself, along with the founder of the Spanish Fascist Party, were buried there. This site and the recent exhumations of these two men are central to ongoing debates about the Spanish Civil War and historical memory in the 21st century. And we're very lucky today to have Paco to be able to speak to us on this topic. And the title of his paper is Memorial Dissonances, Undoing the Valley of Cuelgamuros in Contemporary Spain. So Paco, I'm delighted to hand over to you. Welcome.
Well, it's a great pleasure for me to be here. I would like to thank Jorge, Filipa, Catherine, and all the Public Insight team for bringing me here. So. Yes, I've been dealing with this monument in the last 15 years, and I will try to tell you the difficulties of handling, like difficult heritages. No? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through images, because I think it's more didactic, no? Because a lot of things are going on in Spain in terms of the memory politics of the Spanish Civil War. And there are many layers of complexity, and there are many actors involved in the whole thing. But the monument is at the Valley of the Fallen. I don't know if you've been there or you know about it or whatever. Is perhaps now the most important and most complex place, and I will tell you why. So what I'm going to do is first, I'm going to show you a little bit, tons of images, and I'll stick with this. I will try to explain you why this huge storm is taking place, memorial storm is taking place around this monument. And what I will do first is tell you about what has happened in Spain in the last 25 years in terms of memory politics, what is the kind of research that we've been doing with it. Secondly, I will talk about the history, the political and ideological history of the monument. And finally, I will be talking about, is it possible to undo this monument, to decommemorate a monument that is clearly dissonant, because it's an anomaly in a democratic system to have a monument commemorating a dictatorship and a military victory against a democratic regime. No? So this is, what I'm going to be telling you is the result, as Catherine has said, of a research project in which I am just one more element. It's a very huge enterprise we've been working for more than 15 years. Interdisciplinary, we have forensic doctors, lawyers, sociologists, political scientists. I am a social anthropologist, literary critics, because we deal with all the issues, all the aspects of this memorial struggle taking place in Spain. in the last few years. So let's go for it. Okay, so the first, this is an image of an exhumation of a mass grave that took place in the year 2000, which is kind of an inflection point in terms of memory politics in Spain. This is this is the first time that the silence of the defeated in the Civil War was broken. You have to understand that during the Civil War, there was a lot of violence on civilians on both sides. No? The Republicans, historians, basically to talk in round numbers, they talk about 15,000 civilians executed by Republicans, whereas Francoist troops, paramilitary, killed around 150,000. What's the difference here? First, in terms of numbers, then in terms of the Republican violence on civilians was a result of the collapse of the state because of the military coup of 1936, whereas the violence by Francoists was designed, inserted, you know, in the military campaign, so not to leave anybody behind, which could be, you know, a potential enemy in the future. So it's like a scorched earth kind of policy. No? So obviously during Francoism there were very, very strong memory politics, and the monument we are going to be talking about is the clear example of the Francoist memory politics. But a lot of exhumations took place of civilians, took place in the 40s, just right after the war, with the military, with the church, with political authorities, with forensic doctors and whatnot, and they were exhumed, commemorated, returned to the families, and their sacrifice was given meaning. Whereas the Republicans have been silenced and thrown in mass graves during 70, 80, now 90 years without having this recognition. No? So this is the reason that it's like a funerary apartheid taking place in Spain. So this exhumation was the first one, took place in the year 2000 with technical doctors. You can see forensic doctors, and you know this is more or less, you know, the environment you get around an exhumation. Some onlookers, some relatives, and some technical doctors. No? These exhumations are extremely important because they mostly take place in small villages, and then, you know, they trigger, you know, the resurfacing of a lot of hidden memories. For example, these pictures that were hidden in these albums, black and white albums that were hidden, you know, in the family, I don't know, in the safes. They came out to the public, no, and you start to find these kind of images, no, where the people will be proudly coming to the mass graves and showing the images of these of the relatives. They don't know if the bones are connected to the relatives, but they know that the relatives are somewhere in the mass grave. So this is part of what's going on in the exhumations, no. Also, another feature of this 21st century exhumation is connected to the media and the tremendous media impact they had. This is one early exhumation. This is before the digital era, so to speak, no? Which you can see, at least here, there are at least 6 TV cameras, you know. And this kind of regime of hypervisibility has been very important in this process of memory recovery. But you can also find images like this, you know, where, you know, the people are shooting, you know, very directly over the bones, and these drones being flown over the bones just to get these images that are uploaded in real time in the social media, which this is kind of what we call the digital memory part of the process, no? Which how this process is expressed in the social media, no? Another very, very important element in this process of exhumations is the fact that it's kind of dominated by a crime scene logic. So you see these images, these are the archaeologists and forensic doctors drawing, you know, the bones, they are being retrieved, no? So this is very important because the people who are in the mass graves relate to the relatives through this kind of crime scene scenographies, no? So also the forensic doctors, by the end of the day, they have these seminars, mobile seminars, where they speak about what has happened today. That we have found 2 women with shots to the head, with blah, 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 blah. And so this criminological kind of language it becomes very important. No? So what happens to the bones once they are exhumed in the mass graves with all these processes going on? They go to the laboratories, the forensic laboratories, and here is where they, this is la Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, and it's Luis Ríos and Berta Ríos. They work with, they clean the bones, they try to connect the bodies, and they do the DNA testing and whatnot. So all this laboratory work is very hard, and is taking place in these laboratories that have been changing over the time. Other crucial moment is this, when the bodies have been exhumed. They have been studied. Some of them have been identified. Only a little portion. It's not that every body, every bone, every skeleton can be identified. But they come back to the communities they belong to. And this is one very crucial moment, extraordinary, because the silence of decades is broken, and these processions going through the main streets of the villages are really shocking and very emotional. And they are brought to the cemetery, and so they move from the mass grave through this process, and they end up in the cemetery, in family pantheons and whatnot. And there are these ceremonials in the pantheons, which are very. And you see, there is the Republican flags are being used many times just to mark the political that they were political killings. So the mass graves were crucial. The exhumation of mass graves were crucial in triggering the memory process about the Civil War, particularly the memory of those who were defeated, the Republicans. This snowballed and started to grow bigger and bigger, and it was in the media. And just to give you an approximate figure, more than 1,000 mass graves have been opened in the last 25 years, with totaling around 12,000 people. So it's a big number, but still not enough. No? So what happened is that the whole transition to democracy in Spain was challenged, saying like, what was the price we had to pay to go from a dictatorship to a democracy? And that was forgiveness. That was the not looking back. That was impunity to the crimes of Francoism. No? So this created a new environment, a memorial environment, where statues of Franco, for example, they were all over the place, and they were challenged, and they were retired from the public space. No? And this was connected to the institutions were forced to respond to this civil society movement, because these exhumations started bottom up, from the civil society up to the state. No? So these are I just wanted to show you some of the images. These ceremonials that are being created in different memory spaces in Spain connected to this violence, and these are held every year. Today, I just read in the newspaper that this was officially declared a place of memory. Today, it appeared in the official bulletin of the state. They executed around 3,000 people here right after the war, including 13 teenagers, women, female teenagers. The 13 roses were killed here. So it's a very emblematic place for the memory movement in Madrid. No? Also, I wanted to emphasize the connection of all this process with transnational human rights discourses and practices. So we are talking about here that it's not about the body of my grandfather in my village. It's about universal justice, as you can see here, por la justicia universal, never again. So all these patterns, transnational patterns of transitional justice, are being incorporated into the system, so to speak. No? And this is a demonstration that took place organized by the victims of Francoism in support of Judge Baltasar Garzón, that he was indicted by the Supreme Court because he wanted to dig into the crimes of Francoism. So this is another demonstration in which what I wanted to emphasize with this image is how iconographies travel, because probably these images of the disappeared, of forced disappearance, forced disappeared, like the people and the question marks and whatnot, now they are like an universal emblem. Everybody knows what they are appealing to. So we all know that these are people who have disappeared some way or the other. And these iconographies come from Argentina and are being reused in Spain, are being recycled, and they move back. And so it's very interesting the way in which these processes kind of pollute or contaminate, in the good sense, different cases. No? Also, this is about the importance of art and exhibits, theater plays, movies, documentaries, novels that have been written about this memorial process. This is just the stage of a theater play where I participated in the process, which was about the Civil War, and this is before the actors came into the scene. No? So this is just an overall, very, very swift picture of what's going on in Spain. I could speak for hours about each of the images and what's behind it, but I just wanted to tiptoe over them, so just to give you an overall sense that this is a huge thing that's happening. And on a personal note here, I just wanted to say that this is basically the people who have been in the civil society pushing for this memory of the defeated in the war are grandchildren of those who were killed. Remember that the Civil War was 1936 to 1939, almost 40 years of dictatorship, and then now 50 years of democracy, and it's happening. So it was, it came very, very late, and most of the perpetrators had already died. But why am I showing you this? Well, it's written down there. This is one of the places where when I was a child in summer, we would go to this place in the countryside where my grandfather had a house. And I played here, hide and seek, everything you can imagine. No? And I didn't know, I was totally unaware that there were mass graves just one foot behind our feet. No? So this came as a shocker because our childhood memories were soaked in blood, so to speak, no? Because these familiar places were transformed into places of execution and suffering and whatnot. So this is just an example of what happened to a generation of grandchildren suddenly discovering that the country was filled with mass graves everywhere. No? So let's go back to the Valley of the Fallen. This is the poor sierra that was chosen by Franco to install his monument in memory of his victory in the Civil War. Cerro de Nava, Risco de Nava. Sometimes I think about this image saying like, poor thing, because the poor thing, the poor sierra didn't know the storm of ideology and politics that's going to come on top of it, and also religious issues. No? So Franco won the war April 1st, 1939. That was the very last day of the war. 1 year later, on April 1st, 1940, he went with his, first there was like a national parade, the military and the fascists, the Germans and the Italians also were in the parade and whatnot. They had a meal in the Royal Palace, and then they moved to this place. And Franco read the inaugural decree saying like, we are going to build here a monument in the memory of those who fought for Spain, and this monument will have the size of the pyramids of the monuments of ancient world and whatnot. So he was thinking big, no? And at this point, and here he's talking also with the architects and with some plans and whatnot that were being done. So remember that this is the post-war. There is hunger all over the country. There's a lot of suffering. More than half a million people were in jails and concentration camps, and he's there with his generals just thinking about this huge project. Some images of the building. I mean, he decided to drill the mountain, so to create an underground basilica, crypto basilica. No? And one of the most controversial topics now in the monument is the use of slave labor in the building of the monument. We don't have, you know, like the Valley is a very, very important and well-known monument, but it's totally understudied. No? So we don't know exactly how many prisoners work here, how many of them died, either in accidents that took place during the drilling or diseases that were connected to this. But the fact is that they started to drill the mountain. And they drilled all of this, which is huge. I mean, the thing is that here, these two areas are not consecrated, because if they were consecrated, they would be bigger than St. Peter's in Rome. And the Pope said, okay, you can do a big thing, but you know, there's a limit. So but it's huge. And it used to be 11 meters tall, and one day Franco said, no, it's too small. Doubled it, so it went to 22 meters high. So it's just a huge, it's incredible. The monument is absolutely incredible. So you can see the rock here and the shape of the monument. We look back to the monument. It's totally full of Francoist symbology. So every stone, every statue, every tapestry, the cross also represents the national Catholic ideology of Francoism, which is basically the alliance with the Catholic Church and whatnot. So this is, you know, some of the iconographic program also talks about the fight against good, against evil, which is basically Franco against Republicans and whatnot. So the most important and impressive thing here is that the main ideological operation that takes place in the Valley is in the dome. It has 5 million pieces of ceramic like this. So it basically shows, you know, how the resurrection, you know, and how the different saints go up to the kind of climb in terms of sainthood, no? And whatnot. So this is kind of the Catholic pantheon. But the amazing thing here is that there is a scene of war here with a tank, as you can see here, and the flags of those parties that supported Franco. Here you have the fascist, nationalists, and the Carlists. No? So these are like the flags that represent Franco. And the thing is that here you have Falangistas or fascists with their arms up, and this is in the middle of a church on top of the main altar, no? And here, what this does is that it inserts those fallen, forgotten in Spain into the category of sainthood. I mean, in the Christian sainthood, which is a very, very tall order to talk. No? So, as you can see, the monument has its complexities. No? So how do you make this? How do you change the meaning of this? So there is another thing, is that Franco inaugurated it on the 20th anniversary of the victory. This is April 1st, 1959. I wish I could put you the soundtrack of his speech, but it's a tremendous speech. It's very, it's tremendous. I mean, he's talking about the fight of God against evil, and that evil is not dead, and we should fight against him. And he talks about the anti-Spain as evil. The anti-Spain are the Republicans again. So again, in the inauguration, he's making very clear that this monument is about his military victory. It's about a sacred task that was invested on him to kick the communists out of the country and save Spain from the darkness of whatever. So Franco was still thinking in these terms during the day of the inauguration. No? So as you can see at this point, I am more an expert on necropolitical part of the memory, which means like the political lives of the dead bodies, which is what we are doing with the mass graves and whatnot. So now I am going to be talking about one thing that you may not know, which is that this is a funerary monument. So Franco not only built this huge memorial, but he also decided to bring in as many Civil War dead as possible to the monument. This is an incredible mess, because this started in the year 1959, a few days before the inauguration. Bodies from the Civil War, 20 years after the war, they started to unbury bodies throughout Spain, and you can see some kind of funny images here, no? Like, you know, this in the villages, no? People bringing these coffers with the bodies. Here, you know, they had there was an incredible bureaucracy of that. All of this is written, and we have all the documents and who paid for the gas of the trucks that brought them to the valley and whatnot. And so the fact is that as of, I'll show you some more images. This one is how they were getting this inside the crypts. So according to the records we have now, there are around almost 34,000 bodies brought to the Valley of the Fallen. Can you imagine 20 years after the war, removing 40,000 bodies? Because we don't know, I mean, it's very inexact, because some of them were military cemeteries that they were just carried in very unprofessional ways, so to speak. No? So this is another important moment. Franco needed a very powerful body to preside over the monument. And so what did he do? He brought the body of José Antonio Primo de Rivera, the founder of the Spanish fascist party. This is a very long story. This body has been buried and reburied at least 5 times, because he was executed by the Republicans in Alicante, in the East Coast, on November 20th, 1936. And just after the war, he was carried 500 kilometers on the shoulders by the fascist party, the Falange, to the monastery of El Escorial. You probably know about El Escorial. He was buried on top of the royal pantheon. He spent there 20 years, and then Franco moved him back, moved him not back, but forward to the valley in this parade. It was very controversial. The fascists didn't want him to go here because this was a lesser, in funerary terms, this was a lesser, less prestigious than the monastery of El Escorial. But they even booed the mystery of the presidency. It was an interesting thing within Francoism, no? So the thing is that José Antonio Primo de Rivera had been used by Franco to preside over the lists of fallen for God in Spain. In every village in Spain, in the church walls, in the outside, you have these lists of those who died fighting for Franco. And on top of them, as you can see here, is always José Antonio Primo de Rivera, because he's the martyr of martyrs. No? So when he was brought to the Valley of the Fallen, Franco wanted him to do the same thing, I mean, preside over the whole monument in funerary terms. So more complexity, more stuff going on into the monument. No? Then, 16 years later, Franco dies, and we don't know exactly how he ends up being buried in the Valley of the Fallen. Here there is like a mnemonic click, very interesting, because Franco died with this, I mean, he died in 75, but he died on the same date as Primo de Rivera, November 20th. And this made of this date are very powerful memorial date for Francoism. Franco was kept alive, you know, artificially to make the November 20th. No? So he was buried. You see here, a very, very important burial. I mean, everybody was there. You know, who is who here. So this is the monument from the top, and you can see that Primo de Rivera was buried here. This is the altar, the main altar. This is the front part of the altar. Primo de Rivera and Franco was buried on the other side. And The rest of the monument is kind of embraced by these 33, 34, 40,000 bodies by 28 levels of burial. It's really a huge cemetery, you know? So you can see it here. This is the main altar. It's not working, or I don't find it at least. Okay, so you see the altar is in yellow there. You see the tombs of José Antonio and Franco, and then the red circles are the number of people that are buried in the different chapels. Here, in this chapel, the lower one, 18,301, just keep this number in this place, because I'll be talking about it later. But there are like, in this particular square, like, there are like more than 80,000 bodies in more than 7,000 boxes. No? So these are like, this is just a screenshot that I took from the right-wing TV. They kind of broadcast the masses live on Sunday sometime. So you can see it's a huge thing going on. I mean, there is like these priests, and then you have like a chorus of children with white voices singing, and they have, they have moderated their tone, but basically the tone in the ceremonies was, we pray for those who fell during the war, and they kind of water this pain with their blood, and we are now a big country because of this, and blah blah blah. So, and also they are okay. So this is more or less the Franco's tomb and the kind of commemoration. People would go there and do their fascist thing and whatnot, particularly on November 20th. So the question is, what do you do with this? Which is the question I've been asking. I cannot imagine in the UK one monument with these characteristics. I mean, or anywhere in the world. Like, this is one of the most controversial monuments now in Europe. So this is a vignette by Luis Gareña in a newspaper, which is basically the shadow of Franco, blooded shadow of Franco still presiding over the monument. Because they, during late Francoism and the democracy, they created a narrative of the monument different from the one that Franco had aimed for. So they started to say that this was a monument of reconciliation, national reconciliation. And I will tell you a little bit more later why this happened. And now, when you go there, it is, if you go in a touristic visit to the monument, they will tell you that it's a monument to reconciliation, where there are representatives of both sides because this is true. Franco brought Republicans from mass graves into the crypts of the Valley of the Fallen without the knowledge or permission of the relatives. They basically kidnapped Republican mass graves to fill the monument, which again adds another layer of funerary complexity to the monument. So, what is this? Let's go back now to why the monument has been in trouble in the last few years. Let's go back to the exhumations of Republican in mass graves. This is a digging from the year 2003 in a little community in the middle of the countryside in Avila, very close to Madrid. No? So the archaeologists just went there and realized that the mass grave was, it's me, I don't know how to work this. You see, they found some scattered pieces of bone, but they didn't find the bodies. They were looking for 7 people. You can see that there is a fragmented skull over there, some fragments of bone, there is like a jaw, and some personal objects. But where are the bodies? Where are the long bones? Where are the rest of the... So Fausto Canales, who was looking for his father and 7 other people from his village, you can see the images there, he started to do some research, and he found that they had been exhumed in 1959 and brought to the Valley of the Fallen. And this was a total shocker. They couldn't believe it. Like, what's going on? I mean, this monument made in honor of a military victory of the people who assassinated my father, brought his body to be in the cohort of Franco and José Antonio Primo Rivera. This is a humiliation to the family. And so he has been struggling for 20 years. Just stay with his face because we'll finish the conference with him. He has been fighting for 20 years. He's a very, very outspoken. He's been in the media, national, international, talking about this, talking about this. So this was the moment where the process of unearthing mass graves and the Valley kind of intersected. It's like it became part of, in the radar of the memorialist movement. We have to go and do something with the Valley because we are fighting and we are struggling to find these mass graves, and then we realize that some of them, an unknown number of them, have been brought to the Valley. So the Valley is also part of our process, so to speak. No? So this is Silvia Navarro. This is the president of the Association of Pro-Exhumation of Republicans in the Valley of the Fallen, because this grew and grew and grew, and this movement became stronger and stronger. So I have emphasized that all this process is kind of bottom-up. It has been pushed from people in civil society, by associations, but then the state eventually had to react in some ways. No? So this is a commission of experts. I am there, as you can see in top right, for the future of the Valley of the Fallen. It was the first time that there was an institutional initiative to try to come to solutions with the monument. How do you remake this monument, decommemorate, resignify this monument, which is a fascist monument, within the framework of a democratic society? How do you do that? No? So in this commission of experts, basically the decision was taken that Franco and José Antonio had to go out. They couldn't stay in the monument. And also that efforts had to be done to get into the crypts. And many others. There were a lot of recommendations in this commission of experts. But, not all the political parties in Spain are equally solidary with this movement. And this commission just finished when the Partido Popular, the right-wing party, got to power. And so this report that was done was forgotten for a number of years. This is the signatures, and I wanted to show you the particular vote because 3 people voted against exhuming Franco from the monument. The rest of the commission accepted it. So there was some controversy there. So what happens now in the year 2018, Pedro Sánchez, our current president, just a few days after he took office, he said, I'm going to unbury Franco. Okay, let's do it. And this came as a total shocker. And he was in the press, he made a personal statement, he announced it in parliament. And so there was like a huge fight that started against those who defended that Franco should stay in the monument and the Socialist Party. And this is kind of the graffiti thing. There was like this kind of hashtag, El Valle no se toca, do not touch the Valley, and then the graffiti saying like, just blow it up. So this is just reflects kind of the controversy that was taking place in Spain regarding the monument, because when the exhumation of Franco was announced, the Valley was the central piece in the memorial struggle in Spain. No? So this is Francis Franco, the speaker of the Franco's family. They fought it in court for almost 18 months, and it ended up in the Supreme Court, and they also appealed to Strasbourg, the Human Rights Tribunal. So, I mean, they went all the way to the, but they lost. But during this time, the Valley heated up, and so nostalgics of Francoism would gather there just to commemorate him and try to pressure the government into not exhuming Franco. So, but at the same time, the newspapers were doing this kind of images just to show how Franco was going to be taken out. And so this is just so you can see and again, the Basilica and the cross and the place where Franco was buried and the itinerary that he had to follow just to taken out. No? This is an image of Franco coming out with his family, on the shoulders of his family, with the prior of the Benedictines who are in charge of the religious cult in the monument, and some other relatives. But what's interesting here, I mean, this is a DMSA kind of poster for Catherine, and the difference is that this is an image of when he was buried. There were almost 100,000 people commemorating him in the burial. And the contrast that the government wanted to is this one, the family coming out alone, totally alone. No? So this had a meaning, like Spain is no longer a safe place for dictators or their remains, so to speak. No? So, and then, this is just, I'm jumping faster because I see that I don't have much time left. There was a memory law in 2007, I forgot to say, but in 2022 there was another memory law, and in this memory law, the way the exit arrow for Primo de Rivera was inserted in the law, so they could do nothing, and the family just accepted it and brought him out. So at this point, there is no, as Catherine was saying, Franco is not there, José Antonio is not there. So in funerary terms, these were like two huge blows to the memorial weight of the monument. No? Well, this is just José Antonio supporters, but just a few hundred of them, no scandal. So this is just the last part of the conference, and it's connected to the fact that the Spanish government has acknowledged the right of the Republicans to retrieve the bodies of their relatives. So there is a forensic team. This is I am part of the forensic team, so this is one of picture I took of my colleagues. Just you have to cross through these kind of creepy alleys in the monument. So they built a forensic laboratory in one of the chapels. The chapel, I told you that it had 18,000 bodies, remember? The one who was now. So this is the Capilla de Santo Sepulcro. So they covered the artistic art, and they created this forensic lab to try and go and retrieve the bodies of the Republicans. No? On the other side, the Benedictines just created this ad hoc altar saying, no matter the profanation that's taking place, we'll be praying for your souls, and you shouldn't forget. Well, okay, this is kind of a symbolic fight that so you can see here, this is the central nave, the laboratory, stairways, and this is where the crypts are and where the bodies are buried. No? And so now there are like, and this is just a plant, so you can see from the laboratory to the stairways to the columbaries. No? So yeah, this comes from El País. There are now at this point 170 requests for exhumations. Not all of them are Republicans. Some of them are Francoists that now the relatives don't want the relatives to continue to be there for one reason or another, but most of them are Republicans. No? So there is this huge operation now taking place in the Valley, because it is extremely difficult. In this floor, the floor 0, which is the one which is represented here, there are like 4,000 boxes and 7,000 people buried. And the boxes are basically dissolved because of the phreatic waters and the humidity and whatnot. So this is some of the images I took when they were opening the walls. This is a TV program, Informe Semanal, very famous TV program that had an issue on the lab, how the lab worked. And this is like a disinfection. No? When we come out of the area of the mass grave, you have to disinfect because there are like aspergillus and other bacteria over there. No? And this is an image that I wouldn't be showing because we have like we have to sign a confidentiality document. But this was released by the presidency of the government. As you can see, the president is there with the Secretary of State and the minister. And this is one of the archaeologists showing them the state of the difficulty. So you can see the difficulty. But in this floor, we have found a number of boxes from mass graves, Republican mass graves from the province of Zaragoza that were also have been also demanded by the relatives. So just imagine. This is what had happened. They were piled up, the boxes one top of the other, and they dissolved and they collapsed into one another. No? And this is the kind of I don't know how to call it, like the miracle. You know? Like in 1959, I showed you an image of some boxes getting into the crypts and whatnot. No? This was a photographer from the national agency EFE. He went there and he shot, 13, 14 images. 2 of them were of the inside of the crypt. So here this is 2 of them, and they were taken just within seconds. So, but the thing is that with this we have taken a lot of deductions. No? We know how they piled the boxes. We know that the big boxes were on the bottom and the small boxes on the top. We know that they did like an U, and then they went to the bottom and came back. So this is very important because we know where the boxes are more or less, but we don't know how they had been stored. No? And also here you can see the columns on the top. So in a TV program that was done in 2008, the research team just discovered an incredible thing here. This box here has the name of the mass grave of Fausto Canales' father. Remember him? He was this mass grave that they found on the piece of bones, and he has been found. So it's incredible that suddenly the only picture we have, this box is portrayed. So it was very easy to get to it. And this is the box. As you can see, it's not recognizable anymore. We put the image of but this box was immediately compatible with what we think is a mass grave. When you find skulls with bullets to the head, when you find, objects of a peasant instead of military boots or whatever, this is a mass grave. And the number was compatible. There was a woman also inside. So it was them. So that was part of some of the x-rays with the bullets, with the execution and whatnot. So, and this is the day that they were brought back to the relatives in the village, in the Pajares de Adaja, on the very 87th anniversary of the execution. It was incredibly emotional. There was an institutional ceremony. This is the Ministry of the Presidency, which is not usual to have this high kind of top of the line politicians. You see the bodies on the right upper right side before they were brought to the relatives, and this was just some images of the ceremony, so you can see more or less the emotional tone that there was a watch in the box, and the watch always just to finish up, the watch always carries all these parallel messages about time and about memory and about the past, and so it was a very powerful object that was returned to the families in this ceremony. So this is the last image, which is a piece of art by an artist called Fernando Sánchez Castillo, which basically is asking the country, to what extent we continue to drink from this fountain. So thank you very much.